Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, good morning, everyone. It may be morning for you, could be evening. I guess it depends on when they're listening, Jen.
Or where they live.
Or that's a good point, where they live.
There's people on the other side of the world that listen to us.
That is awesome. That is just the coolest thing ever. And I'm so honored to know that and to have that be a part of the process. And we're just so glad that the listeners that have continued to stay with us and the new ones that are joining us, we're so glad you're here. We have a really cool episode today. I came across something I was reading. Of course, I don't read often, but when I do and I find stuff I love, I just want to share it with the world.
Yeah.
However,
I do the same thing.
It's just part of growth.
This is great.
Yeah, I love learning. So I learned about this research study that really talks about emotion and decision-making and how they're tied together. And I thought it'd be cool to have a podcast episode about divorce in general, but how, in divorce, our emotions can be everywhere.
Oh, yeah. So, when we make decisions in divorce, it makes a huge, there's a huge impact. There you feel it a little bit more, and it's going to impact more parts of your life than you realize. So I think this is a good topic to have, and I'm glad because I get to ask you questions today.
You do.
I'm so
excited. And I think that's good. The listeners are going to hear that, today we're reversing the role a little bit. You're going to be interviewing me. And what I really want to do today, Jen, my greatest hope today is to get this research information out to the public. Some people may have seen this before, may have not, but get it out to them so they can kind of ponder it. And then I want to talk about how you almost like self-regulate it, and become self-aware, and really kind of how this might help you in your own decision-making through divorce. Yeah. Something to consider.
What is was it an article or a book that you read?
It was a book, yeah. So the book, it you know how when you read a book, it'll go back and it'll say, based on this research from, so it was one of those, it was pointing to a research study that was done. So do you want to jump into that a little bit?
Yeah, give a little information on where you found this information.
Yeah, so there's this book, I kept talking about it a lot, and I love his techniques, and his techniques are very helpful because they're all communication techniques. And the guy's name is Chris Voss, and I've talked about him in sessions before, and he wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And Chris has there's this one chapter in the book where he talks about this study. And the study was done by, I'm probably not going to say his name right. His name is Damasio, I think. Okay. And I think he is I don't know if he's a neurosurgeon or a neurologist, but it sounds like he studies the brain. Damasio's
That's awesome.
He's a researcher, but studies brain activity. So long story short, Damasio had studied people who had damage to their ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Isn't that a mouthful?
That is a lot of words.
Okay, so what is the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, if I said that correctly? It's an area of the brain that is involved in processing emotions. Okay. Gotcha. So in these patients, they were people that had normal IQ, memory, and reasoning ability. But there was really something strange that happened. They could not analyze their choices logically. They could explain the pros and cons perfectly, but they couldn't make decisions. Simple decisions like choosing a time or a meeting place, like at a restaurant or something like that, those were extremely difficult for them.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, so like why would that? So you see, like, you can tell me, right? I think this is the right thing, but I can't fulfill it. I can't do it. So there's an example I noticed here. I was researching it. It says, for example, a patient might spend 30 minutes analyzing 2 appointment times because they couldn't feel which one mattered more. Now listen to that. They couldn't feel
Yeah.
Which one mattered more?
You know what's interesting about that?
What's that?
Because I think I often think about the overlapping of different professional areas in neurology, communication. Everything kind of overlaps with what we do as therapists because everything's connected to how we think and how we do and how we know what to do. But I have seen similar thought processes with someone who with severe anxiety, severe depression, where they just cannot make a decision.
Correct. And so when you think of a divorce, Jen, so you think of a person who's struggling with angst or depressive features, that is influencing their decision-making, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Or if they've been through something traumatic and they haven't really processed that trauma, they've not dealt with their own traumatic experience. You don't think that has an influence on
absolutely.
their decision? You know what I mean? So let me kind of
get into the first part. Yeah. Because one, I want to know how the decisions are actually made.
Correct.
Like, how do we go there?
Right. So this is kind of what happens here. So there's a hypothesis, and Damasio proposed that there's this hypothesis called the somatic marker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's a somatic marker hypothesis. I guess people, if they want to look it up, they can. But here's the idea behind it. Emotions create markers that help us to quickly judge options. I'm going to say that again. Emotions create markers that help us quickly judge options.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. These emotional signals guide decisions before logic finishes analyzing everything.
It's reacting versus responding.
Yeah, we've talked about this, haven't we?
We have.
Okay.
A different way.
A reaction is emotion, responding is logic.
Exactly.
Right? But when you respond, there is still an emotional place.
Absolutely.
So here's what this gets into. Without emotional input, the brain will get stuck in an endless analysis.
Oh. I can
Do
see
you
that.
agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. And I've seen people do it.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I don't know which way to go.
Yes. It's almost like a state of, what's funny? I'll tell a quick story. When I was a kid, we were in school. I must have sounded like a little nimwit, but we were in school. I was probably in second grade or something. And at that time, I think I was at a private school. I didn't go there long. Was I I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Point is, I'm in school. I'm young. And the teacher asked a question of the class. She said, has anyone ever been confused? And the majority of course, the kids raised their hand, but I didn't.
Oh, really?
And she looks at me. Yeah. She looks directly at me and she says, you've never been confused? And I said, no. And she goes, well, you might be one of the only people in the world, Michael, that's never been confused. Almost somebody calling me out. And I think what it was is, I don't think I understood the definition of confusion.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Completely. But at the same time, I don't think I really struggled with decision making. I think I just went. I just kind of did.
He just acted.
Yeah. Can you tell?
A little bit. Maybe a little impulsive.
Maybe. But at the same time,
though I do think there are kids that are like that though, because
sure.
they're in my office often.
Well, and I hate to speak on my own kids, but I have a child who struggles with decision making a lot, and even simple decisions. But she's so full of emotion. This kid is the sweetest, loving, gentle. I mean, she's if you could build a child, she's what you want to build the framework of a child around, who's connected and loving. She's an empath. I mean, she can empathize deeply, and I love that about her. But I also know that because the emotion is so intense, I think she struggles with how she makes decisions.
Yeah. Well, and I think in divorce, some of this, when you think about the emotional piece of it, especially if there may have been a traumatic piece of the divorce, I've had women who've had traumatic births. I've had couples who had some violence involved in their relationship. So, I mean, there's different parts of that really make a difference on how you might respond later on and how you might make that decision, for the current time and for your children.
Right. Absolutely. And I think if people understand how decision-making actually happens and realizes there's an emotional component to it, because I think people think they're making decisions based on their logic.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to help them understand based on this hypothesis is that you're actually making decisions based on your emotion.
Yeah.
So let me say it the way Chris says it. Chris says, people don't decide with logic. They decide with emotion and they justify with logic.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to that. So I'm going to say that again for everyone, as Mel Robbins says, people in the back. For the people in the back, people don't decide with logic. They decide with the emotion, and they justify with logic.
That makes total sense. I think a lot of parents and clients that I've met, they find a way to justify it, whatever it is.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in divorce, a lot of times people are trying to justify that and blame it on the other parent. And that's not necessarily true. I think it's a little piece of that.
Absolutely.
Is this where emotional regulation comes in? Because this is, my thought process on this is, obviously, there are markers. There's a whole slew of information about somatic therapy.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Out there, and it's got a weird surge going on right now. But at the same time, there's things that are in our bodies that kind of get locked in there.
Absolutely.
And the same thing in our minds. We get used to something that's comfortable, something that's consistent. Even if it's not a good thing, we get used to it. So how do we kind of regulate that? How do we figure out which way is the best way, and how do we regulate our emotions?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you take I call it a self-audit.
Yeah.
And self-auditing is a way that you think about what you feel and why you might feel that way.
Yeah.
So I had a kiddo come in, and I really appreciate her letting me do this. Sometimes, when I challenge someone, they can either become defensive. In therapy, if you're not being, remember we talked about that, if you're not being challenged, you're not in therapy. There's got to be at least a nudge or a push in some form. I'm going to ask something that's going to move you a little bit, or you're going to say something move me a little bit.
I have a lot of avoiders. Yes.
Yeah. And professional avoiders, people may not know what I'm saying here, but professional avoiders can become addicts, to anything. You get addicted to certain things because you're avoiding one thing, and then the addiction takes over, and now you don't know what you're avoiding anymore. You just crave the addiction, and it's horrible. But avoidance is the greatest way to create a bigger problem. Yeah. Like if you want a conflict to get bigger than what it is, avoid it. Yeah. And I promise you, if you avoid a cut on your arm, it gets infected. What do you think your emotions and your psychology does when you do the same? You know what I mean? So if it physically can become infected, you can emotionally become infected. You can psychologically become infected. I think when you don't self-audit what you feel. So here's what happened. I'm in session, and this kiddo is struggling with a friend group. And anyway, she's had a lot of her friends disconnect from her. Mm-hmm. And she's at the age where friends are kind of your everything. My daughter's kind of the same age. Yeah. She's in the age range where, how you connect with people and who you're around and your group.
Difference.
Yeah, your group.
Change.
Well, I think it's part of their own discovery of their identity, right?
Yeah,
so their group. So anyway, this is a really hard thing for her. And long story short, she said that when her friends started to disconnect from her, she just said, I'm just being too dramatic. Okay, so that's the way she labeled it for herself. Yeah. And I said, can I stop you there for a second? I said, yeah. And I said, I'm worried about the label you gave yourself there, that you're being too dramatic. I said, let me ask you a different question about that. What is it about these friendships that means so much to you? What is it about those?
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to ask her that is I wanted her to regulate going, why is this so important to me that I'm having to talk myself through it? Like, maybe I'm just being overly dramatic. Maybe I'm making it a bigger than, like she's trying to find a way out of it versus going, no. Explore that. Like stay in there for a second and go, what is this? What does this tell me about me? Right? This is meaningful to me. So meaningful that I'm excusing it. But why would I excuse it? Because I don't want to feel it. But I'm feeling it because it's meaningful.
Yes.
What is that? And so when she started doing that, she started going, she started realizing her identity was wrapped into it.
Yeah.
Makes sense? So a self-audit, to answer your question, is a way for people to look at themselves, to understand the significance of what is so important about the experience they're having.
Yeah.
People don't realize that their reality is based on the meaning they put to the experiences they've had. That's why people can have two same experiences and have two different outcomes.
Absolutely. So how do we tie this to divorce?
You don't think it's tied? Well,
oh, no, I do think it is. I want to know how you tie it in. Because I can see it in my mind.
Well, because in divorce, there's lots of decisions to be made.
Yeah.
And there's lots of fear of future.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of people are concerned about, should I do this or that? Should I take them to court? Should I try to co-parent with them? Should I let my kid go on the visitation? Should I keep my kid from going to it? Like, there's all these dynamics that exist on decisions they're having to make, not realizing that the majority of those decisions are based on their emotions.
Yep. I have a lot of that because we do a lot of reunification clients.
Yeah, we do.
We're reunifying a child with a parent or a family member or something. And I think that's the one thing I see the most is fear and regulating that fear and being okay with it, because that's where my avoiders come in.
Absolutely.
They're so scared of what could happen. They're not willing to see what might happen.
Yeah, and what might happen may be worse than what I think could have already happened, right?
Absolutely.
Or could happen again.
Absolutely.
And so they think by avoiding it,
it will never happen.
Correct. I'm preventing it from occurring, but I'm also preventing the thing that I want to occur.
Exactly.
So it's the thing I used to teach people, like, so let's say that money's scarce. And so you take money, you have it in your hand, you close your fist because you don't want to lose the money. Well, if you close your fist and the money in your hand, no money can get in.
But it can't go out either.
But you're right, it's not going to get out.
Yeah.
And you think you're protecting what's getting out, but you're keeping from what can come in.
Absolutely.
So you have to go, if I learn to acknowledge both, that sometimes it will come in and sometimes it will go out, that fluidity allows the possibility for change and growth to happen. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let me say this. This is going to be, the listeners are going to probably love this one. This is extremely powerful in how it relates to divorce. In divorce, you almost feel like you're in a negotiation, whether it's with your co-parent, whether it's with your kid.
Or yourself.
You're constantly having this relational back and forth, okay?
Exactly.
Now listen to this statement.
Okay.
When someone feels emotionally unseen, their brain literally cannot move toward resolution.
Oh, it's hard.
But listen to that. So think about us counseling.
Yeah.
We're sitting in a room with two co-parents. When someone feels emotionally unseen, their brain literally cannot move toward resolution.
Yeah.
Okay? So we get frustrated because they're like, they're not co-parenting with me. They're not collaborating. What are they not feeling is being seen?
Exactly.
By you.
Ooh, I'm going to have to use that question.
You can use it. When someone feels emotionally unseen, their brain literally can't move toward resolution. Here's the second part of that. Once emotions are acknowledged, and I'll say and or, labeled, the rational brain can re-engage. Let me say that again. Once emotions are acknowledged and or labeled, the rational brain can re-engage. So you remember when I created that course, Countering Alienation? There's a ton of labels in there.
Oh, yeah.
I call it 5 sense language.
Yeah.
It seems like, it sounds like, it looks like, feels like. That's a label.
Yeah.
I'm labeling the emotion. It feels like, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you were treated unfairly by me. It seems like
you know what? It's interesting because I had a couple recently that I worked with that's literally what the issue was.
Which part?
They weren't sharing emotions.
Oh, they were withholding what
they were withholding how they actually felt with each other, and instead headbutting.
Yeah.
And just anything they said to the other one was automatically, I did something wrong, and they felt it internally.
So I'm not going to tell you what I'm feeling, but I'm logically going to justify why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Exactly. Until we could get out the emotional part of it. And guess what? I think I had one session after that, and they were like, we are good. And
you unlocked the part of their brain that can literally rationalize solutions because the emotions were acknowledged. So I think what I'm trying to get our listeners to understand, to kind of wrap this all together, is if you're trying to collaborate with someone in the ability to have solutions being built, whether it's with your child, with your co-parent, whatever else, the emotions have to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Because once the emotions are acknowledged and or labeled, then what you get from there is a ability to solve problem.
Absolutely.
It's amazing when people feel seen.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a difference between I agree with you and I see you. And I think that's the kind of going on this last part here.
The self-awareness.
Being self-aware is realizing that there is a difference between being seen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what was the other thing I said? I'm not being heard, but basically agreeing with you.
Yes.
You can still see someone and not agree with them.
Very
right.
true.
I can hear you and not agree with you. I had a kid who said that she doesn't have a voice. And I said, is it the voice that you're concerned about or the choice?
Yeah.
And we say that all the time here. You get a voice, not a choice. Because to her, a voice means I can choose and that you'll acknowledge it. So now if you acknowledge the what I want and you do it, then you gave me a voice. No, sweetheart, that's giving you a choice. Make sense?
Yes.
So let's make sure we understand the two dynamics we're talking about. A voice is you have a place to say, this is how I feel. This is my opinion. Here's my hope. Whatever. That's a voice.
Yes.
The choice isn't yours. And I think somewhere along the timeline, maybe you were confused.
Yeah.
And I hate being the one that clears that up because I'm like, I don't hate it.
Too.
It's hard because I have to go back and look at the kiddo and go, voice choice. You get a voice, not a choice. And I want your voice because your voice is where you're regulating decisions and that's where the emotion is.
So how do you work with parents who give their child the choice?
What I ask the parent is I'll use a label.
Okay.
It seems like you want your child to make the decision in this matter.
Yeah.
And then if they say yes, I'll say, is this matter a decision they can make? Do they really have the authority to make it?
Well, I'm thinking about it in as long as self-awareness with the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they asking the child to make a choice?
Sometimes what the parent wants to do is the parent may either already know what the choice is and they are aligned with it, but they know that it doesn't sound good or look good for them to say they're aligned with it. So they say, let the kid do it.
Yeah.
Or they're tired of either being in the position to always having to look like the bad guy or choose. And so they think, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to get neutral. And their version of neutrality is let the child do it.
True.
So
okay.
I think there's different versions. I think it's just one of those, it seems like, you label it.
Yeah.
It seems like you would like the child to make this decision.
Gotcha.
And if they say yes, you can say, what difference would that make for you? Or what I might say is this a child's decision to make?
Gotcha.
Because sometimes if I already know that it's really an adult matter, not a kid matter, we need to clear that up quick. Like, I want to explore how we got there maybe, but I still need to make sure we're realigning the truth here because the poor kid's going to come in here thinking they have all this authority or I have all this authority that I don't actually have.
Yeah.
I had a case where I was consulting a therapist and based on the narrative she gave me, the children are kind of acting out and reconciling with his dad. There's two kids, and they're both doing it, and they're young. They're only, I don't think one of them was 10 years old yet. Like they're kind of young. And I said, I wonder. That's what I asked the therapist. I said, I wonder if the kids believe that if they act out hard enough, dad will eventually quit.
I actually have I've worked with a client like that too.
Yeah, I mean that's a distractor, right? Kids,
yeah.
That's a distractor's role. And so I asked the clinician that. And she said, well, I think that's interesting. And I said, if you were to ask the kids, say, it seems like, right, because you're labeling the emotion, it seems like you're hoping that you guys can be enough of a ruckus for dad that he'll eventually just quit. And you wait and let them go, let them validate or go no, and then they'll clear it up and tell you what it is instead.
Absolutely.
But if they say, that's the case, say, oh, I get it. So this is just a time issue. This is an issue of we just don't want to go with that. We want to spend time with it. It's not a relationship issue. We have a time issue. If it's a relationship issue, we therapists can help you. If it's a time issue, that has nothing to do with us. We don't control time.
Yeah.
I don't control if you go with your dad or not. I don't control if you have to see your dad or not. So we're having a discussion over something we have no power over. And I love clearing that up with kids because once that's clear, then they go, oh, okay, well then, because they may think if they come tell me how horrible an experience is one place, I'm going to go back and go, well, they probably shouldn't spend time with. I don't have no authority to do that.
Yeah. I've had similar experiences with, especially with kids who just don't want to. They want to avoid. They're like, I don't want to. I'm fine without that person.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's great. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like if you had it your way, you wouldn't have to do it at all.
Yeah.
So I hear that. That's your voice.
Mm-hmm.
What's the choice that's been made for you?
Exactly. I always go back to that. I'm like, well, what do you do when you don't want to go to school? You go anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. As mom or dad or both your parents going to be okay with you just choosing not to go? No. So how do you make it work?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you make it work?
Being self-aware, being aware of how you feel about the situation.
Absolutely.
Definitely has an influence on how you make a decision.
100%. So I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want to get over time, but I'm going to say this last line again.
Okay.
I just think that'll help. When someone feels emotionally unseen, their brain literally can't move toward resolution. Okay?
Yep.
Once emotions are acknowledged and or labeled, the rational brain can re-engage. Okay? I hope they go, cool, Michael, there it is. The episode's wrapped up in a sentence, or two. Okay. Jen, was there anything else that I missed?
I don't think so. I think that's, thinking about how our emotions affect our decisions, how we make our decisions, thinking about the brain analysis part of it.
And how we can encourage our co-parent or child to work with you in a collaborative way.
Exactly.
It is getting to ensuring that they're emotionally seen.
Absolutely. And again, like you said earlier, being seen emotionally does not necessarily mean you have to agree.
Correct.
You can disagree with people and still be stable at the same time and have a good relationship.
Seems like you're going through a lot right now.
Yeah.
There's a way to see someone.
Absolutely.
It seems like you feel like you're against the rope. It feels like
there's no options out there.
There's no way out of this.
Yeah.
And they go, yes, there you go, emotionally seen. Now we can have a conversation about a lot of other things. We can start having a really cool collaborative talk.
Exactly.
Just using things like that. So that's wonderful. That's what Chris Voss calls a label, and I call it the 5 cents language.
I love it.
Yeah. So, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Fun.
Yeah, it is. Again. Yeah. Well, thanks for interviewing me and asking questions and getting to make those real solid comments. Thank you so much, listeners, for being here. I hope you found that helpful. We do talk a lot about emotions and thoughts and decisions, and they're all related to divorce because it's about your way of connecting with each other and your way of navigating your process. And I think if you even use this for yourself, think about your own emotions, and not if they're seen or not, but really you recognizing them in yourself so that you have a way to navigate the divorce process. It's like, it's probably no different than being out on water and it's calm sometimes, and then there's a storm that comes and the waves are hitting the boat, and you're like Forrest Gumping it, and you're there yelling at God and, and whatever else. And life has a way of doing that. And what's really amazing, and we just had it rain here, and, it's funny, when the rain subsides, because last night the wind was blowing hard. Like, Steph was even nervous. She was like, we probably should not sit by windows.
The cats were like, hey, what's
yeah, we're going to be blown away like Wizard of Oz. But the rain, of course, we went to sleep last night, and we woke up this morning, and there was some sunshine, still a little cloudy, but there was some sunshine and everything else. As I'm driving into work this morning, I hear birds everywhere just chirping, singing.
Absolutely.
And I'm sitting here going, I wonder if that's their way of praising God, Is their way.
I heard them while I was getting ready.
Life has a way of doing that for us, too. I heard them, too. And I think that's my encouragement to all of you listeners is, you're going to go through storms. It just means you're not arrived yet. And to think that you'll never have another storm, that is not true. When you understand that the storm comes and goes and the waves will happen, and the waves are your emotions.
Yeah.
And when you understand how to navigate your emotions and your waves, you can then become the calm of the storm.
Absolutely.
You like that?
I do like that.
Cool.
I'm going to use that later.
Okay, use it. Well, I appreciate you so much, listeners, for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Jen. And keep moving forward, everyone. Until next time. Hey, if you're listening right now, I want you to take a deep breath. I know this is hard. Maybe your child is pulling away, saying things that sting, or seems caught in the middle of conflict, and it's leaving you feeling helpless and frustrated. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. That's exactly why I created the Countering Alienation course. It's a practical step-by-step program to help you recognize alienating behaviors, respond in a way that protects your relationship, and rebuild the trust with your child, even when it feels impossible. This is not about fighting your co-parent. It's about keeping your connection strong, staying grounded, and giving your child the stability and love they need. You deserve tools and guidance that you can actually use. and your child deserves the relationship only you can give. Check out the registration link in the show notes. This is the right move. You got this.